Hello and welcome to video related to printing Excel files. Even though world is moving towards digital and paperless offices, but for some reasons we are still stuck with taking printouts, or maybe we want a paperless printout in the form of PDF files from the dataset inside Excel file. I know most of the people have already used this feature and might be aware about it. However, there are some really cool features inside this which seems to be still unexplored by people, and I still receive lot of questions. Just for an example, my printout runs into a pages, and how do I keep row or column labels appearing on each of the pages, just like freeze panes in Excel sheet? How do I have a separate header and footer for different pages? How do I print the comments also in the printout? Or how do I save files as a PDF? And many others. In this video, I will be explaining you many of these unexplored features from printing Excel files. So let us move on to our Excel file and start exploring all of these options. So here is the Excel file which is being provided to us. We will be using this file to understand more about the printing features in Excel file. So first things first, all the print related settings are located under Page Layout tab under this section called as Page Setup. Now under this you can also see this small arrow. Once you click on this, a new window will open up with more additional options. I normally prefer to use options from this window since there are more features compared to the ribbons. We'll be looking at all of this tab one by one. So for the time being, let us click on cancel. Now the first step for printing any of the Excel file, you have to decide the area you need to print it. So for this purpose, first of all, let us select the range of cells which we want to print like this. And then go to print area under this page layout and select set print area. Now once you have clicked on this, the area will get selected for printing purpose. Now at the bottom right hand side corner, you see this page break view. So once you click on this, a page break view will appear up like this. You can zoom it or zoom out to understand where the page breaks are there. So you can change it the way you want. So if there is any difference between the page breaks which are getting displayed for me currently and for you, you can change by dragging and dropping this blue border. So you can also change the border at the bottom also like this, dragging and dropping it the wherever you want it. So I am selecting that, and now I will zoom in for this purpose. This will give you a fair idea of where the page breaks are and how your document will look like when you take a printout. Now once you are done, you go to normal view from this option at the bottom right hand side corner again. The page break lines will still appear in the dotted rows and columns like this over here. So sometimes I feel it is really irritating. For that purpose, I will go back to Files, Options, and then select Advanced and now press Alt K. Now currently if you see, this checkbox is unchecked. So if it is checked, you have to uncheck it to remove that dotted rows of page breaks. So okay, now we will see further options from this full window of page setup. Now here in this first tab, you can decide the orientation the way you want it, whether you want landscape or portrait mode. Based on your data inside the file, you can decide this. Then the next option is related to the scaling. Now you can manually adjust the scaling which you want, which is 63% of the normal size, or you can let Excel decide the scaling automatically for this purpose. So here is a quick tip for you. If you have selected the portrait mode, then select the number of pages a little larger than the file which you have, or the pages you feel will be there in the printout, so that Excel will automatically identify the settings properly for you. Similarly, if you are selecting a landscape, then select the little more number of pages than you expect in the printout under this setting. Now the next option is like a paper size. If you want to change the paper size, you can change it the way you want it, whether it is a letter, tabloid, legal statement. You can change it the way you want it. The print quality is also being defined over here. By default, I keep as it is 600 dpi and page number is as it is. Then the next step is for the margins over here. Now here you can define the margins which has to be left at the top, left, right and bottoms, even for headers and footers. So by default, header or footer margin should be lesser than the top and bottoms over here. So currently you can see this is 0.3 and this is 0.75. So you can change that as well with this arrow keys. Then the second one is like on the left hand side, ideally you should keep a little more margins since you might be punching this paper and filing it. So ideally you should keep a little more margins compared to the right margins over here. And finally, the center on page vertically or horizontally. I have not normally used these features, but if you want, you can check on this and select this check mark. So in this window, you can set the margins you wish to leave on the printed page so that it looks good and not too much crowded. You may also want to take a printout on your already printed letterheads or standard material used inside your company. So you should manually take the measurements of your standard material and accordingly set the margins on this tab. So let us move on to the next tab, which is called as headers and footers over here. Now the top box is for headers and bottom box is for footers. You can have a different settings for each one of them. So let us click on custom header and another window will open up like this. So before we move on, I would suggest you to read all the instructions which are being mentioned over here if you have not read it earlier. So now your page is being divided in three sections: left section, middle section which is called as center, and right section. Now above these boxes there are the standard options which are being displayed over here. So if you hover your mouse over any one of this, a small tooltip is getting displayed. I find it really useful, and so that I can insert the appropriate headers or footer information in each of these sections. So select the position on your page you want in either of these boxes and then click on that particular icon. So let us say if I want to insert a file path over here, I will click on this. So instead of that, let's say I want to insert a page numbers at the top. I will select this and I can insert it accordingly. Here also, let's say I want to insert a file name, I can insert that. Now let us say if you want to change further formattings for this headers and footers, you can select this and go to this A icon which is displayed, and you can change the font type, font style, font size, underline and other options which are being displayed over here. So based on your selections, this footer and header will get customized. You can have a multiple details also being displayed over here, and if you want to separate it with the custom separator you want, you can do that as well. So currently if you see, I have inserted a pipe separator and now I will insert a sheet name also over here. So with this you can insert the way you want custom headers at the top. So let us click OK, and a sample will get displayed over here. So if you want to change further, there are the standard options also being displayed in drop down. So I won't select any one of them and I will press escape since I have already defined the headers which I want. Similarly for custom footers, you can do the similar settings the way I have explained it to you right now. These have the identical features of left, center and right section, and other information also is getting displayed in the same way. So I won't explain you on that. So play around with this to understand more. Now at the bottom you have these four boxes which are getting displayed. By default, two of them will already being checked back. So I will keep as it is, scale with the document and align with the page margins. So automatically the settings will be properly set up for your custom headers and footers. Now the other two options which are there are for different odd pages and even pages and different on first page. Now let us imagine that you are taking a printout of this Excel file and you want to have a different custom header and footer on different odd pages and different on even pages. So let us select this checkbox, and now if you want to have a different details, so go back to your custom headers and footers. Now you will have one more tab being displayed over here which is for even page headers and odd page headers. You can define whatever kind of information you want to display on headers on odd page and even page separately. Similarly, you can do it for custom footers as well. It will have one more tab. So let us play around with this on your own to understand how this will look like. Similarly, let's say the first page on your printout is a cover page and you don't want to have any footers or headers on that page, or you want to have a separate headers and footers on that page. You can select on this option and again go back to your custom headers. Now this time there will be one more tab which is getting displayed for first page headers. Similarly, you can define the way you want it over here and the information will get displayed appropriately. Now I will move on to the next tab which is called as sheet over here. Now the first option, which is a print area, which I have already explained to you. So the current print area is getting displayed over here. Now the next option is print titles, rows to repeat at top and columns to repeat at the left. So before we see this option, let us quickly have a look at the print preview of this document which we have selected. So let us go to this print preview and you can see this print preview is getting displayed. So let us go back to our page setup. We'll fit this. Now this settings, we can change it the way we want it. So I'm giving a little large number and now it will display the details properly. Now if you see on the first page, the details of headers are coming correctly. When I move on to the next page, the headers are not getting displayed. So any person who is looking at this document, he will have to go back to the first page to understand what exactly is the column heading given for this purpose. And it will be really time consuming or really confusing at times. So for that purpose, we have a settings over here. So let us go back to our page setup. And now under the sheet tab, you have this option called as rows to repeat. So click on this arrow and let us select the row which you want. This will be the row which you want. You can select a single row or you can select a multiple rows which should be repeated at the top of each of the page. So currently I am selecting only one single row. And now this time let us go to print preview and see whether this row is appearing on each of the page. So now I scroll to the next page and you can see immediately at the top this heading is getting repeated. So even though headers and footers are getting repeated, this also is getting repeated. So this is really helpful to understand the column headings when you have multiple pages. Similar way, you can define the columns to repeat at the left. Since currently I don't have that much page or kind of a column headings to be repeated, so I'm leaving it as a blank. Then the next options are grid lines, black and white, draft quality and row column headings. So these are more of a kind of a self-explanatory. So if you want to have a grid lines, you can check this box. If you have any color details in your sheet, you can select this black and white and it will save some ink on your printer. If it is a draft quality, you can select that draft quality and it will be a little dimmer or little less quality of the printout. If you want to have a row and column headings like this row number and the column headings also being displayed in the printout, you can select that. So as of now, we will be checking how to use this column and row headings just in a while. The next options are kind of add comments at the end of the sheet, none or not being displayed. Now let us say there are some comments inside your worksheet and you want to get it displayed. So how do you do that? There are these two options. So let us select at end of the sheet and now let us select print preview and see how it is getting displayed. So we'll move on to the end of the sheet or end of the paper and here you can see the cell references are given up over here along with the comments which are being defined in that particular cell. However, currently it might be still confusing since we don't have a row number and cell references to identify which particular cell is this comment is appearing up over here. So for that purpose, we will have to print even the row and column headings. So we'll go to sheet and let us select row and column headings and let us select print preview. So this time if you see the row numbers as well as column numbers or references are getting displayed. So this will help us understand where the comment is appearing since the comments are having cell references. So with this you can select row and column headings. So let us say instead of that of a column headings and row headings, you want to display the comments as it is being appearing in your worksheet. So let us uncheck this and let us see as displayed on the sheet. So this option, if I click on print preview, let us see whether it is appearing. However, you can see that there are no comments are getting displayed even though there was some comments in this particular cell. Why is it the case? So let us go back to our Excel sheet. Now in this Excel sheet, you can see the comments are hidden. So if it is appearing in your Excel sheet, it will get printed. So for that purpose, you will have to go to review and select show all comments. Or if you want to display or print only a particular selected comments, you can go and show that comments manually. So let us say I will hide this comment since I don't want to get it printed. Now this time let us go to page layout. Let us see what option we have selected as displayed on the sheet and let us select print preview. So now this time you can see it will get printed wherever these comments are appearing up over here. So with this settings, you can change the printout of your comment. So if you drag and drop it somewhere else as well, it will get printed in the same fashion. So let us go to print preview one more time. And you can see this position is also changed for your comments. So if it is not appearing properly in your printout, you can change the position of your comments as well. So now let us go and hide these comments. And we will see the another setting from this sheet. So the another settings, we will comments none. Another setting is for cell errors. So wherever there are cell errors, whether you want to display as it is, they are appearing, whether you want to display as a blank, as a dash or as a NA. So currently if you see there is one error and we want to display it as a blank. So let us go to print preview and you can see this cell is appearing as a blank even though it contained an error. So you can change the settings the way you want it from this sheet tab over here in cell errors. And finally, this page orders is being displayed over here. I will keep as it is the default settings. I won't change it. However, if you want to change it, you can do that as well. So let us click OK and we'll go back to our Excel sheet. Now there are few more settings which are appearing once you press Ctrl P, and with this setting it will appear up over here. Now here in the printer options, you can select the printer if there are multiple printers being set up on your PC, or you can even select the print to PDF. This will save the file into PDF file. And further, the settings are over here for printing active sheet, printing entire workbook, or print the selection. So all of the settings which you have done earlier, it will be a sheet specific. You can have a different settings for each of the sheets separately in your Excel file. Now once you select print active sheet, whatever the current active sheet will get printed. If you select the print entire workbook, all the sheets from your Excel file will get printed. And if there are only a particular range of cells which you have selected in your currently active sheet and you want to print out of that range of cells only, you can select print selection. So by default, I am selecting print active sheets only over here. Now the next option is for pages. Let us say if you want to have a printout of only one particular page. So instead of having a printout of all 13 pages, let us say you want to have a printout from 4th page till 6th of page. So you can mention it that over here manually by typing the number of pages you want to take a printout. So it will take a printout of 4th, 5th and 6th page only. Then the next option is for collated and uncollated. So if you want to have a pages to be collated and to be in order, you keep the default settings as it is. Otherwise, you can change it to uncollated. Normally, I don't change these settings. And then the other options we have already seen for page orientation, page size and the margins over here and scalings. The hyperlink which is over here for page setup will open the same window which we have just seen it. So that's it from my side guys. See you in next video for more features on Excel.